So it all started about 3 years ago, and I was ready to take on another challenge. And having always kind of had a passion for motorsport, really, I decided I'd do something different, and I would take on the Dakar Rally. It's a giant orienteering race, so you have to navigate cross-country for anything up to 10-12 hours a day, point to point, checkpoint to checkpoint. So not only are you racing off-road and dealing with the terrain and the temperatures, but you've actually physically got to navigate as well. Whole new skill set to learn and take on. And kind of that was the point of the challenge, really, was to try and take on something new, to try and learn new skills, form new collaboration. Yeah, for sure, riding the motorbike unsupported appears to be a solo operation, but that's just not real. I sought out help right from word go. So we spoke to Kev Murray at Ride Off-Road Scotland, who literally taught me how to ride off-road. All of these things are expensive, but that's part of the challenge, is overcoming that and forming long-term relationships. And thanks to Moto Joe, and in particular Joe Phillips, and Martin Williamson, we were able to put the bike together and all of the kit together. And then companies like Sterling Trailer Centre and Van Gogh Outdoor that have supported me indefinitely, really. So the first challenge really was just to prove that I could race in the desert. Having had all these lessons, we went out to Morocco and we competed in a round of the Rally Raid World Championship, Rally Du Maroc. So we raced for 6 days in the Moroccan desert. Very similar format, road book, navigation, similar temperatures, sand dunes, and we got to the end of it, and you've got to be realistic about your expectations. And the first day actually went really, really well. We were really pleased. I was riding with a friend of mine, a big Austrian guy called Gunther, and we got through the first day, which is always our aim.
Hey guys, I hope you can hear this okay. I've just come out of the first stage, 176k, job done.
And then we went out again the next day, about 420 kilometres in a day. And the first half of the day went really, really well, really fast. And then we had a couple of tricky navigational bits, but that's okay as well. That's kind of what this challenge is really all about. Sort of slow down, get your head in gear, work out the navigation. We were coming towards the end of the day. I think we were 350. In fact, I can tell you, up 342 kilometres. And that's where the story took a bit of a dark turn for me. The next thing I remember at this point is coming round in the desert. I had been unconscious, and I felt as though the bike was trapped on top of me. I couldn't move, but I looked up, and in fact the bike, this bike was 10 metres away from me, and I was paralysed. I couldn't move my legs. I could hardly breathe because my helmet was kind of crushed in on my face. And I thought, well, I've got to sit up, I've got to do something to kind of reorientate myself. So I pushed myself up on my left arm, and as I sat up, my right arm just sort of flopped to one side. And I've had pretty extensive training through the military and first aid training that we now deliver. And I thought to myself straight away, this is a traumatic injury. I've shattered my arm, I've broken something. So I instantly started to sort of search myself for blood, and I checked the sand around me, but there was no blood. So I thought, this is strange, it doesn't appear to be a traumatic injury. I undid my jacket and I tucked my arm inside my jacket and did it back up. So at least it wasn't causing me any more problems. And and I say this to all the people when we talk corporately, right? You've got to be a part of your own solution. At this point, I'm in the desert, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Nobody is going to help me other than me. This is not some sort of heroic thing. It's not about, manning up or anything else. It's just a fact of the position I've put myself in. I have to be early on a part of my own solution, and that's so often the case. On the bike here, we've got an emergency button that's linked via GPS, and I'm 10 metres away from the bike and I can't move my legs, but I knew that there was going to be no way help was on the way until I got back to the button on the bike. So my whole world momentarily, no matter how much as I could think about or feel sorry for myself, all that mattered right now was getting to the button on the bike. We landed in the bivouac and I was instantly taken through to the med centre, and the doctors there decided that the potential of injury was so serious that we didn't have facilities in the desert, so they took me to a hospital, and several hours later we arrived in a Moroccan hospital, and by now it was kind of midnight and it was pretty late on. and I was still on a spinal board, which for anybody who's ever been there is kind of really stiff. It's a really uncomfortable feeling, but obviously necessary. And they whisked me through into this X-ray, which didn't look like an X-ray ward we might imagine in this country. I'll never forget the young doctor was wearing a Liverpool football shirt. Anyway, they took a load of X-rays, and the doctors turned around to me and they said, "Tim, it's okay. There is no fracture in your neck or your back. It's all okay. You're fine." And I thought to myself, well, I don't feel fine. But anyway, we moved on. So we went back in the conventional land ambulance, if you like, on the way back, and we arrived back in the bivouac. By now, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Having slept on the desert floor for a couple of hours, weirdly we managed to get a taxi ride. So I got a local Moroccan taxi driver, picked me up in the middle of nowhere and drove me to Marrakesh airport, 7 hours up and down the Atlas Mountains. He's on his phone constantly, we're dodging people on the roads. I'm not really feeling any better, I'm stiff, I'm sore. My legs are kind of in and out of working and not working. It was just sort of not cool, really. Anyway, I get to the airport and we have to go via Amsterdam. So I get to Amsterdam and we have an overnight stop at Amsterdam. And eventually, still traveling on my own, still wearing the same kit that I left the desert in the day before. Eventually we fly back and we get back into Edinburgh, alone at this point. Finally, my wife comes to the airport and we're kind of reunited. And again, it's one of all those moments where you think life's getting better. But by now, the kind of painkillers are wearing off and everything hurt. But I just kind of put it down to, you've had a high-speed motorbike accident. We reckon I was doing about 140 kilometers an hour off-road when I came off the bike. So I'm sitting there and I'm sitting at the kitchen table and we run a first aid company, and my chief instructor, Mike Hope, comes in, takes one look at me and says, "Tim, this is not okay." I said, "Well, I'm really glad you said that because I feel pretty terrible." And we're sitting in A&E for maybe 10 or 11 hours. And then eventually they do some MRI scans and they come back to me. I'd fractured my C4, my C5, and I had a 12 centimeter edema, swelling, running up and down, kind of impinging on my spinal cord. And they clamp on me a Miami J neck brace. And for those that have seen that before, it's the full neck brace. It comes to sort of here and you wear it round. And I was basically told not to take it off for 3 months. I had to wear this neck brace for 3 months. This was the helmet I was wearing at the time of the accident, and you can see that it's sort of fairly smashed up. I bought this helmet brand new before we went away, and it's a massive lesson in having the right kit for the job that you're trying to do. The amazing surgical team at Oswestry Hospital that were looking after me basically said to me that had I worn the old used helmet and had this accident, the chances are I wouldn't have survived, and if I had survived, almost certainly would have been in a wheelchair. So I sit here now talking to you all, having kind of come back at this event. I've still got damage. I've still got pins and needles in my fingers, and my thumb feels like it's burning, which is kind of really weird. I've put weight on. I haven't been able to do any exercise for nearly 7 or 8 months now, and we're just starting to get back to it. But you have to be grateful because I'm still here. I don't need sympathy because I choose to take on these challenges. I put myself in that situation. So I guess what I really need is you need coping strategies, ways forward, techniques to make stuff work. And for me, that's what resilience is. It's not the answer, it's not a handout. Resilience is the ability not to quit, to keep moving on, and to find a way to get through things. Really key moments that I've learned, takeaways if you like, from this experience. And the first one is, you've got to be a part of your own solution, and you've got to want to get out of the situation that you found yourself in. But forcing myself to get back to the bike, refusing to quit, forcing electrical currents and impulses to move through my body has without doubt contributed to my ability to recover better. Without doubt, and it might sound strange, some of the biggest challenges I've faced are now. I'm kind of okay, but I'm not back to where I was before. I've had to make some lifestyle changes. I'll never race a bike again. Physically, I'm nowhere where I need to be or want to be, and that makes me doubt myself and question myself. The psychological road back is proving quite challenging. So again, all you've got to do is I've got to choose to be part of the solution, take small steps towards a much bigger picture.